Jim Kern. I'm the Executive Director of the Vallejo Naval and Historical Museum. I'd like to invite everyone who's watching or living here in Vallejo to come down and visit the museum, where we feature exhibits about the history of Vallejo and Mare Island. And we also feature a lot of other sorts of programs and services for the community that are more sort of behind the scenes. We do school programs for local students. We have an outstanding research library. We do a lot of research for genealogy, historic architecture, naval history. We house community archives from different organizations and businesses. We have nearly 40,000 historic photographs in our collection. So we really do provide a lot of different services for the community. And of course, to provide those services and those exhibits takes a source of income. The best way that you can support the museum is by becoming a member. And your membership dollars help to keep the museum running and also give you some incentives, such as free admission to the museum, a discount in our gift shop, subscription to our newsletter, and invitations to various special events. Speaking of special events, we have a fundraiser coming up on Friday, November 7th at 6:30 p.m. It's called Celebrate Vallejo. This year's theme is Hungry for History, and it ties into a new cookbook that the museum is going to be releasing just before Christmas. And the cookbook includes recipes contributed by members of the community, and also historic recipes and historic photographs from the museum's collection. So it's not just strictly a cookbook with recipes, but it also gives a little bit of Vallejo's food history. And to celebrate the release of that cookbook, our event on November 7th will feature some of the recipes from the cookbook, some food samplings from local restaurants. We will have a live auction, a silent auction, and a lot of different activities going on around the museum. It's really our annual event where we showcase the museum, invite the community in, show them all the things that we have to see and do here, and of course generate some enthusiasm from the community and hopefully generate some funding as well. Hope you'll all come down and visit. It's at 6:30 p.m. on Friday, November 7th, 2008. Our periscope here it's a little squeaky today, but it's also one of the featured exhibits at the museum. This periscope is from a World War II era submarine called the USS Bahia, and she saw service during World War II, and eventually it was decommissioned at Mare Island, and the periscope itself goes up about 35 feet through the roof of the building. So when you look through here, you're actually seeing outside. You can see all around downtown Vallejo and all the way over to Mare Island when you look around through there.
Oh, it's my house. No,
yeah, you can see. That's right. So it's something fairly unusual that you're not going to see in a lot of museums.
Oh, and it goes right up through the roof.
Right up through the roof of the building. Yeah, yeah. Wow. So when they brought this in back in the early '80s, we have pictures of them installing it. They brought it from Mare Island on a flatbed truck, lowered it with a crane right through the roof of the building.
And this is from a World War II era.
World War II submarine, yes. Mark, this is the museum's Saginaw gallery. It is named after the first ship that was built at Mare Island, the USS Saginaw, and this is the gallery that features permanent exhibits on Mare Island history. Probably the most important items in our collection is this Medal of Honor that was awarded to a sailor by the name of Reinhard Kepler, who lost his life on the USS San Francisco during the night battle of Guadalcanal. Well, this is actually a depth charge, again, World War II era. This is what the men serving on submarines would have feared the most, of course. Imagine being down in one of those tiny submarines, barely more than 100 men squeezed in there, down below the surface, and having a surface ship dropping these all around you, exploding. Terrifying. Morse code, of course, is what ships used to use to communicate back and forth. What they would call the Wardroom Silver. Every ship usually has an elaborate silver service like this. This is the Wardroom Silver from the USS Mariano G. Vallejo, submarine named after General Vallejo, named for the city of Vallejo, and so it's extra special nice. The Mark V diving helmet.
That makes me claustrophobic.
That is claustrophobic, and you would not believe how heavy that thing is, too. This is the World War II era. You know, this alone is at least 50 pounds. And imagine the heavy canvas suit that this would be attached to. Now, of course, there's the fixtures for the air hoses in the back, and once you have the air coming in there. That does provide a little bit of buoyancy when you're in the water. But imagine trying to wear this, especially if it's wet and you're wearing this heavy metal helmet on the deck of a ship. Well, here's a few boxes representing some of the thousands of photographs that we have in our collection. So we have businesses, movie theaters, old gas stations, houses, construction of the Carquinez Bridge back in the 1920s.
Now, was there any specific photographers that were really prolific in Vallejo? Anyone that you can?
There were several. There was a very prolific photographer named James G. Smith. There was another photo studio called the Macmillan Photo Studio down on Georgia Street. This particular box is photographs of houses.
That's Judith Hilberg's
This Judith Hilberg's home, designed by Julia Morgan.
You just
Sure.
tilt it. Can I touch the?
Well, yeah, it's in a sleeve, so you can you can handle it.
Yeah,
If we
we'll
took it out, it would be a little more.
Tilt it like that so people can see that.
We do have a lot of people who, of course, moving to Vallejo, purchase historic homes and want to know a little bit more about the history, the architecture, who lived there in the past. And
I came and did that.
Exactly, yeah, right. And we get an awful lot of that. And that's another one of course, the services that we provide. Here's a view of the paving of the streets in downtown Vallejo back around 1910.
Isn't that something? Now, look at that, the old steamroller.
The old steamroller there, yeah, and paving the streets, or the old wooden plank sidewalks in the background there. This is, I think this is Georgia and Santa Clara streets here.
Okay.
So
it was the Wild West back then.
It was. It was just an old western town back in those
days. Any known gunslingers in Vallejo?
Well, you know, not back in the old western days, but in the 1930s, during the gangster era, Babyface Nelson hid out in Vallejo for a brief period of time.
No
Yeah. He hid out over at the Vallejo General Hospital, which at that time was located on Tennessee Street.
Okay.
So we've had some notorious characters come through Vallejo over the years. Construction of the original Carquinez Bridge back in was opened in 1927, but construction all through the 1920s. And just, you know, literally hundreds of photos in this series showing every phase of the construction of the bridge. Well, Mark, thanks for coming down to the museum and giving me the opportunity to show you some of what we have here. We took a look around the Naval History Gallery, the Saginaw Gallery, but we do always like to remind our visitors that we're not just about the naval history, as important as that is. We also have exhibits about the history of the city of Vallejo and our community. And I hope that you enjoyed what we had to see here today, and I hope we'll have some visitors come down. I hope they'll also enjoy what we have to offer to the community. Come down and see our exhibits and experience a little bit of Vallejo's history, learn more about it, and tell your friends. Bring them back with you also.
Well, Jim, thanks a lot.
Thank you.